In today's video essay, I will be discussing the philosophy and life story of Confucius, or Kongzi in Chinese, with Confucius being the Latinization of his original name. Confucius is a man who is recognized as the most important Chinese philosopher. Now, before we start discussing his ideas and intellectual exploit, let's discuss who Confucius was. The first accounts of Confucius's life were recorded during the Han Dynasty, 400 years after his death, so there is still much that we don't know about Confucius. However, these records still teach us lots of vital information about his life. Confucius was born in 551 BC in the state of Lu during one of the bloodiest episodes of Chinese history, the Warring States period. The Warring States period was a civil war that lasted from 475 BC with the collapse of the Zhao dynasty and ended in 221 BC with the establishment of the Qin dynasty under Emperor Qin Shi Huang. Confucius was born into a poor family with a noble background, tracing his lineage back to the Shang dynasty. His early life was very difficult, with his father dying when he was only 3 years old. However, his mother took great care of him and educated him from home. When he came of age, he studied at a school for commoners where he learned the 6 arts of rites, music, mathematics, archery, charioteering, and calligraphy. After graduating from the academy at the age of 21 in 518 BC, he left his home and went on a pilgrimage to the city of Luoyang, the former capital city of the Zhao dynasty. Since he grew up in a very chaotic period of Chinese history, he would often reminisce about the Zhao dynasty, which he viewed as the ideal state and a model for what China should become in the future. When he reached Luoyang, he met Liao Zi, who would mentor him in studying the right and Zhao era documents. When Confucius returned to his home state in 484 BC, a significant political event took place in the state of Lu that would change the course of his life. The neighboring state of Qi sent the Duke of Lu a gift: 100 horses and 80 dancers and concubines. The Duke became so infatuated with these gifts that he neglected the court rituals and his duties, resulting in the state collapsing. Confucius attempted to persuade the Duke to focus on his duties and court rituals, but to no avail. After failing to persuade the Duke of Lu, Confucius traveled China with his most loyal followers to advise the rulers of China on how to rule their kingdoms. He would also expand his ideas on how to govern a stable society, to maintain traditions, and to maintain a stable government. Confucius would later on start his own academy where he would teach his students the 6 arts: rites, music, mathematics, archery, charioteering, and calligraphy. He would also discuss his philosophical ideas with his students, which started an oral tradition, which would be passed down from generation to generation until they would be recorded in the Analects. The ideas of Confucius have had a permanent impact on Chinese civilization. But what are his ideas? Confucius's most important idea is Chengming, the rectification of names. But what is the rectification of names? Well, the rectification of names is essentially a metaphor for the importance of hierarchies. Let the father be a father, let the son be a son, let the servant be a servant, and let the lord be a lord. According to Confucius, hierarchies were a vital way to maintain order in a society and enforce correct behavior, like respect for elders and meritocracy. Confucius's teachings revolved around personal ethics and morality, which is reflected in the 5 virtues of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and sincerity. Centuries after Confucius died in 479 BC, the Analects would continue to be studied in the Imperial University, where the entrance exams at the time would last for 3 days and had a 2% pass rate, with the Analects remaining a part of the Chinese education syllabus to this day. We know that Confucius's philosophies and ideas have had a very significant impact on Chinese civilization. But what can we learn from Confucius on a personal level? Let's take a look at the Analects. In Book 1, Verse 1, to learn something, and at times to practice it. Surely this is a pleasure. To have friends coming from distant places, surely this is a delight. But not to be resentful at others' failure to appreciate one, surely that is to be a true gentleman. Now let's break down this verse, starting with the first sentence. To learn something and to practice it, surely that is a pleasure. This quote is essentially commenting on the satisfaction of implementing a learned skill to real life. For example, if you get a degree in English literature, that will be an accomplishment to be proud of. But if you do nothing with it, then it's worthless. However, if you use what you have learned to start writing a book, or you decide to become an English teacher, then your satisfaction will be even greater since you have given your skill value by putting it to use. Now, the second sentence is quite self explanatory. To have friends coming from distant places is incredibly delightful. So let's skip to the third sentence. But not to be resentful at others' failure to appreciate one. Surely that is to be a true gentleman. What this phrase means is that you cannot navigate life expecting people to like you. In other words, you cannot demand respect, and you cannot resent people's failure to appreciate you. Instead of demanding respect, you must earn respect. But if you try hard to earn respect from someone to no avail, then try to gain respect from someone else who will appreciate you. In layman's terms, you cannot please everyone. You must accept that fact that not everyone will respect you. So instead, you must try to find certain people who will. Book 1, Verse 6. Young men should be filial when at home and respectful to elders when away from home. They should be earnest and trustworthy. Although they should love the multitude far and wide, they should be intimate only with the humane. And if they have the energy to spare after doing so, they should use it to study culture. The first two sentences are quite self explanatory. Young men must respect their siblings, be respectful to their elders, and be honest. In the third sentence, Confucius says that young men should love the multitude, but be intimate only with the humane. The phrase, love the multitude, clearly means that you should be respectful towards everyone, but when he says that they should be intimate only with the humane, it is quite difficult to understand what he means by humane. Based on the context of the sentence, he could be referring to family members or trustworthy people. So an abbreviation of the sentence would be to respect everyone, but don't trust everyone. Only trust those who you are close to. In the final sentence of the verse, he says that if you have the energy, then you must use it to study culture. He doesn't specify what he means by culture, which means it is up to interpretation. It could mean religion, it could be taken literally, meaning to study different cultures, uh, for example, languages, customs, etc. Or he could simply be referring to the act of educating yourself. Now let's look at a verse from one of Confucius's disciples, Master Zheng. Book 1, Verse 4. Every day I examine my character in three respects. Am I disloyal in my designs for others? Am I untrustworthy in my dealings with friends? And have I failed to practice that, what has been passed on to me? In the first phrase, Master Zheng says, every day I examine my character in three respects. The meaning of this is self explanatory. Every day he analyzes his moral character in three respects. Now let's focus on the three ways that he examines his character, starting with the first quote. Am I disloyal in my designs for others? Which is essentially referring to your reliability as a person. For example, when your boss gives you an assignment, do you hand it in on time? If someone lends you money, do you pay them back? If you are disloyal in your designs for others, then that would make you a fickle person. But if you are loyal in your designs for others, then that would make you honorable. The second way to examine your character is to see if you are untrustworthy in your dealings with friends. This elaborates on your honesty, how you behave around your friends, and whether or not you are respectful towards the people within your social circle. The third and final way to examine your character would be to see if you have failed to practice that which has been passed on to you. This quote refers to handling responsibility that you've been given. An example of this would be if a prince were to inherit a kingdom from his father, and under his reign he fails to manage the state properly, resulting in it collapsing. This would be an example of failing to practice that which has been passed on to you. So, in conclusion, Master Zheng's three rules here is essentially a method of self reflection. Thank you very much for watching, and please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.